There we go. All right, now we're set. Let's do a roll call of committee members. There's Dave and Bev. Wonderful. Beautiful. Okay. Jeff Bartell.
Present.
Jim Hale.
Present.
Lynette.
Here.
Trish.
Present.
Meg. She's here. We know she's here.
Sorry, here. I was muted. Sorry.
Jim Quisenberry.
You're on mute.
Present.
Yeah, we see you. Tom Cross.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello. Great, welcome. And we have, who's the 805 number? Can you identify yourself? Okay, no
Yes.
worries.
District
They're
guest.
muted. They're muted, so we can't hear them. Oh, Dave and Bev.
Dave and Bev are here. Welcome to them. Oh, he's putting up his hand. All right. Great. So I don't have any announcements. Oops. Hello?
We're on the phone too.
Oh, you're on both. Okay, great. Hey, you guys, somebody scheduled a meeting on top of our meeting, and that's why that kept happening. So you can hang up your phone and just be on the computer. We see you now, if you want, or you can stay on the phone. Let's just public comment. So this is a public meeting. If there's anyone here to make a public comment for anything that is not on the agenda, this would be the time for you to speak. And is that something you want to do, Dave?
No, just was trying to stay in touch. We've been on and off about 4 times, so that's all.
Yeah, we've all been on and off 4 times. Sorry about that complication, technology. Does anybody else have a comment for anything that's not on the agenda? Okay, I think we met last time. Jim Quisenberry, he has joined the committee, and we have a new member tonight. His name is Tom Cross. Tom, would you like to introduce yourself to the committee?
Hi, I am I'm Tom, and I joined for the same reasons Jim did. So basically just to tag along with him.
Great. We're very, very glad that you're a part of the committee. Let's go right to the agenda, starting with the first one, which is the Baywood Elementary School Safe Routes to School project. We know that they're going to go ahead and build that piece of sidewalk on El Moro. That hasn't changed. However, there is funding coming through on Caltrans that I'm looking into. They have different descriptions for these projects, and one of the descriptions is a quick project. It's something that can happen very quickly without a lot of design or planning. And I'm going to see if we could propose doing the one-way street on Santa Maria from 9th Street to 4th Street. Very much like they've done in San Luis Obispo, where we have one-way streets. A good example would be on Garden Street. It's a one-way street, and then there's extra wide sidewalks for people to walk. And even now, a good example is going to be where they've taken up some of the street for parklets, where restaurants can have tables and chairs. So they're sort of encroaching onto the street. This is not a new concept, and it's one that's being used a lot in urban areas. And so I'm going to just propose to the committee that I see if that conversion of Santa Maria, just on that section from Baywood Elementary down to the heart of the commercial area of Baywood, so that would be around 4th or 3rd Street, kind of where the farmer's market starts, where that would be one way, and the other side of the street would be for biking and pedestrians. If you're familiar with Santa Maria, you know it's kind of a narrow street that's kind of, you know, not completely straight, and gets very little traffic. So I want to throw that out to the committee and see what you think about that.
So they did that in in Slow on Monterey Street, you know, downtown, from Osos to the Mission. to
Made it
Broad-
one way,
Correct.
right? Because they put those little restaurant parklets there, right?
Mhm. Great
So,
idea.
so why can't we do that here? Jim?
No, it sounds fine by me.
The beauty of it is it's low cost, right? All it takes is some paint, some pylons, you know, some signs one way. And so it's not a high dollar project, but it could have a huge impact because right now that elementary school does not have a safe route to school. And so, and it's not just the elementary school, of course, then we have to consider from there all the way to the middle school, which is where kids also walk. So I'm, Dave, you wanted to say something?
I just wondered one way, which way? And also, is it one way for kids too on bikes?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, the traffic around the school has to be two-way, so it would only start after the, so it would be from 9th Street, and I guess it could go either way. And there should be sufficient space for bikes could either go with the traffic, like they do now, you know, riding with the traffic, or they could go on this side of the street that's open more for pedestrians and bikes. If you go to the elementary school, you'll see that they're on scooters, they're on little bikes. They're, you know, it's not just like your regular bike, but probably it would go both ways, but that's a really good question. What do you think it should be? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I was just asking, but I wondered which way the cars are supposed to go.
Originally, I thought that the traffic should come from 4th Street towards the school, because when you get to the school, there's a little turnoff there in on the side of the school, and that's where the buses pull into to drop off the high school kids. That's where parents will drop off their kids sometimes. So that seemed more logical to me than the other direction.
How
Do you need
does
to-
it, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna ask, do you have to do any of the studies, say feasibility study, budget proposal, any of those for this kind of project?
So that's a good question, but I would propose it as a pilot project, because sometimes they'll just do a pilot project as a study. It's like, well, let's try this, and then we'll get some data from it and see how it works. So instead of doing all this studying first, let's sort of, you know, put this into place. Now, I don't know if they'll go for it, but it's just a few blocks. It's 5 blocks. What it does is it channels traffic to go around, right? But that's what active transportation is about. Active transportation is making the cars go the long way and giving the pedestrians and the cyclists more of the right of way. So if a car has to do a loop to get to their driveway or whatever, well, that's no big deal, in my opinion.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Have we coordinated with Jan and her committee? Because we always used to have a county rep at our meetings, and questions like this, he was right there to give us an answer. Like, what do you need to do if you wanted to do something like that? And he could give you the steps and
Well,
feasibility.
Jan has not had anyone from the county at her meetings since the pandemic started.
She has
So
had no meetings since the
I know, since
pandemic
it started.
So how
So-
do would she be able to get us in touch with whoever the county person
yes,
was, whose name I can't remember? And
Okay,
if we
well,
could get that person at our meetings, it would help.
yep.
so I
agree.
already contacted the county and I already talked to them. And I had 2 of the engineers come out to the school site and walk the school site with me. And I talked to them about that. They were not keen on the idea, but they're engineers. They're not the people who make the decisions. So I'm not dissuaded. If it's a good idea, then I say we continue to pursue it. They're doing it in other places. So it's a question of dealing with public works, obviously. And I did actually reach out to Jan about this project, and she said, go to the county. And that's what I did. I went directly to the county. So, so they may not go for it, but that's okay. It doesn't mean we can't try and we can't, have that be a concept. We want to use all the tools in our toolbox when we're thinking active transportation. And one of the tools in our toolbox, it happens to be one-way streets for traffic calming. It slows down traffic, there's less traffic, and so forth and so on. People already are walking on that street. People are already riding their bikes on that street. We just are going to make it a little bit safer and more of a obvious that this is a safe area for kids to get to and from school.
Did they raise what their objections were, those 2 engineers?
They just didn't feel like they could really, go that far. They said, oh, well, we could give you like a disabled ramp over here, and we can maybe do this for you over here. They didn't even know about the sidewalk that was going in on El Moro. That's how, it's very much disconnected in public works that some people know and some people don't know what's going on. So I was very happy that I got people to come out and actually walk the school with me and see what the situation is on El Moro, how busy it is on El Moro, how busy it is on 11th Street. We were right there when school was getting out. So, I made my case, but as I said, they're not the decision makers. I think we need to get to a higher level. But I wanted to bring this to the committee because my understanding is there's money from Caltrans for these quick projects. And it occurred to me that this might be a project that would fit that category. So I'll follow up on that.
Jim has a question.
Oh, thank you for letting me know because I don't have everybody up here. Go ahead. Yes.
Have you done any, or should we make an attempt to kind of survey the affected residents along Santa Maria and let's say the cross streets that you're talking about?
Good question, and no is the answer. I have not. I did reach out to the PTA. I talked to the school. I went to one of their meetings. They're very much in favor of that, but I did not do anything as far as contacting residents because I felt that was a little too far down the road for where we were.
But I think
But I
Jim
think
has
Yeah.
that's a good idea. I think we should go knock on some doors and get some feedback and just take a survey of how many people would be for it versus against.
Would you do that before I reach out to the county anymore? Do you want me to hold off on contacting the county and?
No, I think we need to talk to the county a little bit more and just see if they think it's something that would be feasible in the future or currently that we could start before we talk to all of the homeowners. I mean,
Okay.
because if it's something that they come back and they say, there's no way in the world it's going to happen, then I don't want to disrupt all of the homeowners. But if it's something that they think that we can do, then I'm all for, going down and doing a survey.
Okay, great. Tom, do you have a comment?
Question, do we have any traffic flow data for Los Osos and specifically that area?
I think there is some traffic flow data. I don't have it, but I will get it.
I'm sure they have it on El Moro, but I'm not certain about Santa Maria.
All
yeah.
right.
I'll check into that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Anything else on this, or should we move on? If somebody has their hand up, let me know because I don't have everybody on my screen. Okay, so Doris to Palisades bike path to library, Meg. All right. We got a really cool email from John D'Annunzio of Slowcog. And Trish, do you have that email handy?
I can. Let me,
Yeah.
let me pull it up.
He sent it to Trish. We've been in constant contact with John. He's been behind the scenes really assisting us. He's works in that part of Slowcog. They have the money. Okay, so the projects come in and then they're the ones that actually fund the projects. And so he's been extremely helpful to me and to this committee. And he sent an email to Trish Bartel because she is chair of Locac. And I'm just going to let her read.
Okay, so what he said is Slowcog has been evaluating the LOVR Safe Routes to School concept project between the community center and Pine Avenue along the north side of LVR and Los Osos, with concerns for community pedestrian safety, SRTS access, and ADA accessibility. Slowcog is preparing to issue a call for projects for a community betterment grant in the month of April 2022, and Slow County could apply for this or a similar purpose. I wonder if the community of Los Osos might wish to advocate for Slow County Public Works for a community betterment project application. We have been in communication with Deborah of the Active Transportation Committee and continue to be available to speak in more detail about any potential grant application. Then he gives his phone number. And ultimately, the grant application to Slowcog could be from Slow County Public Works Department. However, a well-timed letter of support and nudge from the Locac might go a long way. We are about 4 weeks out from our call for projects announcement on April 6th, and I wanted to bring the potential opportunity to the attention of your community.
Yes. Yes.
I know, it's great news.
Of course, now we want to go all the way to Doris and we would like the sidewalk all the way to the library, right?
Right.
Okay, but that's huge. We're getting on the map, people. So what do we have to do, Trish, to make not just a nudge, but a push?
Well, I mean,
push.
I think we need to call him, number one, call him and say, okay, Locac, I mean, and we can do this on Thursday at the Locac meeting. We can say that this is a letter of support. That's no problem. But if we're going to be, trying to do more on the grant, what exactly does he need from us? And then make it happen. But I think we need to have that communication with him so that we know exactly what we need to provide for him in order to get it done.
Cool. Yay. Meg?
So I know, yeah, that's really exciting. So I know the survey will be a really important part of that information for him. And I have contacted Monarch Grove Elementary again, and they said that they have sent the surveys to the school board and they need to be approved, and then they will put it in a newsletter. So I still don't know exactly when that's going to go out, but I will keep you posted. I can email everybody, you know, when it actually happens, but it's in the works. And the gal at Slowcog, Catalina, she has been very helpful in helping to translate what I had written into Spanish, because it needs to go out to Spanish speaking families as well.
So
So,
tell the committee about the survey, because not everybody knows about your survey.
oh, okay. So there's 5 or 6 questions. Basically just, you know, how does your child get to school? Would you support a path that goes between, you know, Doris and Palisades? And do you want to know more about Locac? And just different questions, you know, specifically to the path, and their interest in it. And again, there's a cover letter that kind of explains what the proposal is, and then the survey. And hopefully we'll get a good response, and I'll be able to turn in that information to John, and we'll see that there's, I would be surprised if we didn't get a really positive response on this, but you never know. So
Yeah, so this is the kind of information that's critical for backing up this effort. We have to show community support.
right.
And you're talking to Catalina, and Mallory are both with Rideshare, which is a part of Slowcog. I'm
Mhm.
actually having a meeting with them on Monday. They have their own survey, which is quite extensive, but it's a countywide survey. If I understand, I think I saw that it's different school districts, right?
Yes.
And so they have a much longer survey, but they were excited that Meg took the initiative to create our own survey for our own schools so that we could be quite specific about the project that we want to have funded. So these are all the little pieces that are going to come together to make for a successful project. Jim.
No, I think it's wonderful what Meg has done. And I think what I'd like to do is, I'm a former school board member.
That's right.
I'd really like to participate a little bit more on this. It just crossed my mind, and this is just an observation, that if such a multi-use path were developed, it would also allow kids to get safely to the park and to the skate park.
Exactly. And that's actually one of the questions is, does your child, you or your child, use the skate park, the library, or the community center?
So
Great.
can you two exchange information? Because Jim, you could probably help Meg get her survey to the school board and get it through the wheels so that it can get out to the public. We need to have those responses, hopefully by the time we submit our application for funding to Slowcog. Is that possible?
Yeah, and I could, like I say, I could make that personal contact with Chris Unger and Marilyn Roger, Evelyn Frame, the 3 representatives from this community, and then also the 4 from in town. I'd be glad to
That would be fabulous.
So fabulous, you guys.
let them know it's on the way, right?
They should have it. It was sent. It's just a matter of them approving it and getting it back to the Monarch Grove Elementary.
So how do I get my information to Meg? Can you do that for me, Deborah?
Yes, I will do an email to the both of you, and then you'll
Okay.
be able to have each other's, so I'll make a note to myself.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
So Deborah, I have a question on trying to expand that survey in some way. I'm involved with Meals That Connect, that provides meals to the elderly and the shut-ins. And a number of the elderly actually walk to the community center to pick up a meal there. You'll often see an older woman pushing a cart
Mhm.
along Los Osos Valley Road several days a week, walking in the street or on the side of the road. Is there a way that we could also try to gather some data from the local coordinator to get some input of the number of seniors that walk along that path to the community center?
Well, I think that's a super idea, Jim. What I would ask you is, does that coordinator have everybody's email address, or is there some way that she contacts them? And if so, would you develop a survey, a 5-question survey? I'll give you Meg's as an example, but her things aren't going to apply because it's more, towards school children, but you could create a 5-question survey. We'd be happy to get it sent out. However, whatever way that they communicate with their the people that are receiving their services, I think that's a really great idea.
I'll talk to the local coordinator, Malaya, tomorrow and let you
Okay.
know.
Great.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
let me make a note of that. Okay. Seniors. All right, great. Thank you for
And feel free to contact me if you want to know how I put that survey together.
Okay, I shall. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, Jim, Jim did a little research on funding. I asked him to look into that. And so do you want to just talk a little bit about Harley? I mean, she kind of, your conversation spanned several projects. And so let's just go ahead and introduce her and what might happen there. And then we can keep going.
So yesterday I had a conversation with Harley Hopkins, who works for the county in the planning and building department. She's in charge of providing grants for the county in that department. She's also involved with doing some grant writing, but she focuses on administrative grants. And those grants can be for community buildings, they can be for homeless. And so they have grants in certain buckets. So she said one of the things that they're trying to do is to streamline the grant project process for the county. So you can create have one website and find out where all the grants are that are in the county and how to apply for them and what they can be used for. She said that there's a lot of money right now available, and some of the buckets are community foundation grants from the Community Foundation of San Luis Obispo, and they have a spring and a fall cycle, and their focus is community needs. There's also another community focus for low income applications. There's also one to improve a community in terms of strategic needs. And then there's also another one for grants for building structures. So those are applications from the Community Foundation of SLO. And she said each of these grants does have significant reporting requirements. So for instance, the low income grant would require that you are taking an analysis of the demographics that you're impacting in terms of income, and if your grant can help those low income demographics. A couple other buckets was the grants.ca.gov. She said there's a lot of money coming down from the state for transportation projects. She said this is probably the biggest opportunity right now in front of the county. And that could be what John's talking about as well.
Mhm.
And then the last one was in the Public Works Department. She said there's also a lot of money in the Public Works Department. And she had a colleague named Matt that she was going to reach out to and get some more specific information for us. My conversation with her focused predominantly around the Coastal Trails connector from Los Osos to the south side of Montana de Oro, trying to connect with the trail that will come up from Avila. And so she's going to help us look for some pockets of funding to help put together a feasibility study and a design study. So that's what I have to report.
Thanks. So we're going to talk more about the coastal trail, which is what Jim was just talking about. Well, we might as well talk about it now. They're already have designed the connection between Cayucas and Morro Bay for the coastal trail. Now, the coastal trail is supposed to travel the whole state, right? Following the coast. So they have that piece. And then there's a piece that comes through Los Osos. And according to Dave, I think you told us that it comes into Baywood and around the peninsula and ends up on Petro Road and then goes out to Montana de Oro. Do I have that right? Oh, is he there? Dave? Right. Okay. That's what I thought. So that's an urban piece. And there is a piece, again, going back to Caltrans, where they have a designation called small urban rural, because they recognize that there's inequality here. It's so competitive that all the urban areas like the LAs and the San Diegos, they're going to soak up all the money, right? So they set aside certain amount of money for small urban rural. I think we're perfect for that category. And if we could get the connection between Morro Bay and Montana de Oro that will go through Baywood, that would be wonderful to have a bike path that did that. And there are lots of opportunities there for, I think, getting funding. So right now we're just, I think, scratching the surface of what we're going to need. But I think the pieces are going to start falling into place. The CSD is talking about putting in a pipeline to state water. That means they have to go from Santa Ynez all the way to Quintano. I've already talked to Ron Munns at the CSD, and I said, if you put that pipeline in, I want a trail on top of it, because you're going to be going through it. And there's already on the new bridge, there's a bridge that's being replaced. There's already a pedestrian and a bike path built into that bridge.
Yeah, and that is that Turry Road Bridge.
Yeah. So, this isn't going to happen tomorrow, but as we look down the road and we start making these connections, and start, really envisioning, okay, what is this going to look like? And start, pulling up some of the funding for the design, whatever the steps are, the multi-step process that they go through, it will eventually be a reality. And what a huge tourist boon it will be for Los Osos. We have so many, and that's a part of the coastal trail is about tourism. And so we have Montana de Oro, we have the bay, we have the butterflies. We have so much here to offer tourism, and we just need to have a way to highlight it.
Deborah, did you want to ask Jeff Bartel?
Jeff's next on my list, Mr. Bartel. Yes, Jeff, let's hear let's hear about your report.
I think most of you know that my passion is to see that California Coastal Trail the one, Deborah, you were speaking of, go from Los Osos to Avila Beach. And that's the section that I'm most passionate about. And I do have I did find some information on that, and Jim's found some information on the funding piece too. But I think from a smaller standpoint, the section from the where the multi-purpose trail ends there, it's sort of at the bottom of Rodman to the top of the hill there, is a real safety concern, and one that I'm very concerned about. How there hasn't been a cyclist or a hiker killed on that yet is just it's just luck at this point. So I'd really like to see that be something that perhaps could happen quicker, because I think we all know this section of the CCT that I'm so passionate about. I think we all would agree that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to be something that's going to take some time. So what Jim and I did was we started gathering some information, and one of the things that we found was there was and you all may know about this, and I'm new to the committee, so bear with me here, but there is a master plan that was done. It was funded by Locac for the northern section of when I say northern section of the county, from essentially the Monterey County line down to Cayucas. And the master plan was funded. It's written and it's done in several sections, of which my understanding is there some of which are going either are started or will be built. And the budget for that, I'm looking at this report now, somewhere around $65 million to build that section. But the thing that I want to stress is that this report is what I think we really need, is this, whether you call it a master plan or a feasibility assessment, is what I really think we need for this section, whether we want to start it in Morro Bay, like Deborah, you were talking about, or whether we want to start it going through Los Osos, or whether we want to start it, going through Montana de Oro. I think that section there is, I think in my mind at least, that's the first piece of this. And this, what I did email John, and I asked him if there was if they had any kind of budget or anything that was done for that feasibility, because I was curious to see what kind of money we were talking about that they paid this engineering or design group for. And he didn't answer me on that, but he did send me back the Locac, what they call active transportation plan. So it was updated in 2021, and it lists the costs, and what this report said was they believe this 22-mile stretch, which is through Los Osos down to Avila Beach, this California Coastal Trail, it should cost about $35 million, which I thought, in my mind, I go, that's less than I thought it would be, quite frankly. But it's not, it's not something that that Trish and I are going to have in our back pockets that we're going to donate. So, I'm thinking that funding is going to be a key thing here. But in that same report that John sent me, there's a line, I'm going to read it to you folks, because I think this is interesting. It said, the California Coastal Trail is eligible to receive funding from the California Coastal Conservancy for planning and/or construction projects along the corridor. So I thought that was interesting. It's something, I don't have that part explored yet, but I think that's something that, that sort of the next step in exploration is to talk about funding in this. Is it for that feasibility assessment or master plan, because there's so many moving parts on this. We've got PG&E, we've got the state, we've got the county, we've got probably some various other ranchers and stakeholders in there, and the city of Avila Beach. So I'm thinking that this is something that's going to involve a fairly heavy master plan feasibility assessment, and that's sort of the first step. And what I think, at least in my mind, we should focus on finding the funding for as a first step. So I think that's important. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, and Deborah or Jim, I can't remember, one of you sent me invited me to apply for the the Diablo Canyon decommissioning, which is because I looked at it a year or two ago and I looked at the requirements for it and how much was involved in filling it out. And I said, oh, I want to be on this, but they'll never want me. So the long story short, Deborah sent it to me again, and I did apply, and they're reviewing my application. So hopefully, because I think a lot of what they're looking at and what this committee is looking into, as far as that section of the CCD are well aligned. So I think if we can get some representation on that decommissioning committee, it would be worthwhile. And, you know, I did embellish a little bit on that committee, so on that application. So hopefully we'll it's there to report soon. I think that's it. I think we mentioned Larry Allen last meeting on the, I know it's not probably not the right point, but he did submit his application a couple weeks ago for the bicycle committee as well. So I just want to let you know that.
Okay, great. So yes, I did send that to Jeff because PG&E is going to have money as they decommission, and they're already talking about doing the piece from Diablo to Avila. That's like, that's already like,
That's huge. That's huge.
they're already assuming that that's going to happen and that PG&E is going to help pay for it. Because I went to the bicycle advisory committee and they talked about it, and I said, well, what about this way? So having somebody on the decommissioning committee gives us a voice there to see that, you know, we also want to have a bike path that will go to Los Osos. And then Larry, so the Bicycle Advisory Committee is a committee from the county. It does all the bike path plans for the county. And so if you want anything done bicycle, you got to go through them. We are supposed to have 2 representatives. We have 1. And so we have submitted, thanks to Jeff and Jim, submitted one of their close friends to send in his application to be our representative on that committee. We haven't heard back yet, but I don't know why he wouldn't be accepted. So again, fingers crossed, one more voice advocating for Los Osos on a very important committee. Yay. All right, cool. So now a little show and tell here. I told you John D'Annunzio is a big friend of ours, and he has been encouraging us to create some sort of 2-page report, pamphlet, something that we could present to the Board of Supervisors, to Public Works, to the community to get support. And he suggested I go to Cal Poly and talk to the professor there and get an intern. That turned out to be a dead end. But he did reach out to somebody who did something, and I'm just going to show you what if I can find it. I'm going to show you if I can pull this all together. Just give me a moment while I share my screen here. It's not coming up. Okay, do you see that? Do you see the?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. All right, very good. All right, let me open this up. All righty, this is 2 minutes long, and I'm just going to share this.
My name is Jim DeCecco, and I'm a longtime teacher at Oceano Elementary School, which is just right up the way. My story kind of starts like this, is that we have a morning exercise program in which 300 students who walk or run around the playground. And so it was my job to go ahead and monitor that exercise program. And one day I was looking down the way as far as across the playground, and I saw an ambulance. and my heart just dropped because I knew what had happened. It's like one of our students had been probably injured on their way to school. I knew the student well. I was their basketball coach. I knew her aunts and uncles and things like that. And so I ended up going ahead and talking to the aunt. And I knew that they had some health issues, so it may be a little bit more difficult for them to go ahead and drive Maria to school. And so I just said, how about if I come by and pick her up every day? And as it turns out, that was a really good opportunity for, yeah, Maria, because she got an opportunity to ride to school, but it was a good opportunity for me too. You know, it was like the best half mile or mile of my day, every day, being able to go ahead and ride with, you know, a student, talking about what's happening during the day and what's happening in their life and how school's going and how's basketball going and what she's thinking and things like that. And so that continued on for like 6 months till the end of the school year. And I look back on it and say, you know what? That was actually a really good opportunity for me to go ahead and connect, reach out, and show the community that the staff of Oceano cares about their students. The one thing I want to say is that my philosophy, as far as biking goes, that our streets should be designed for people of 8 and 8 and everybody in between. So if an 8-year-old can't ride their bike to school, then our streets aren't designed in a proper manner. So my dream projects is that I would like to see everybody be able to hop on their bike and ride to school without going ahead and fearing for their safety.
Okay, DCR produced that video. And our dear friend, let me get out of here. John D'Annunzio put me in touch with this person. And I'm hopefully going to be able to show you his website here in a second. Share. Do you see that? DCR Design. DCR Design develops graphic information and spatial technology to help transit planning. So we're talking active transportation here. I am going to, oh, wait a minute. You know what? I think what's happening is there. I have that video was still running. So this is David Figueroa. I'm in touch with David. I think we're going to be having a conversation. He's interested in helping us. Unfortunately, they don't have a videographer anymore. Their videographer moved to LA, so they don't have one. They're looking for a freelance videographer, if we happen to know one. And so hopefully tomorrow or first part of next week, we'll be having a conversation. And I'm kind of thinking that this might be an opportunity for us to talk about our core loop, the one that connects Baywood to Los Osos Valley Road, the one that Jeff Krebs came up with. But I'm open to having a conversation about how we would best utilize his services. I don't know if he's going to do this for free, but you know, he did seem very willing to work with us. And I did mention that we had a new member on our committee that I think was in the videography field, and he's very interested to meet Tom if you are interested in getting hooked up with him. So yeah, let's talk about this. What do you think? Was that cool or what?
Very cool.
And little Oceano, it was so professionally done. It got the message across. And so thoughts, feedback.
I think
on the
it's
video?
great.
Go ahead, Tom. I want to hear what you have to say.
Like, you want feedback on the video?
I want feedback on anything.
That's too broad for me right now.
Okay, how about the video?
It was well produced. It looked very professional, and I have no comments.
Okay.
Something- Yeah,
Yeah, that was part of the storytelling thing that I was involved in, actually. So I had seen that. That's really cool that that crossed your desk.
Yeah.
It's part of the county active transportation plan is the different stories.
So if we do something like this, then everyone on a bike must be wearing a helmet. The guy was not wearing a helmet.
I was
That's
concerned about that as well.
very
Hear,
concerned
hear.
about that.
Here, here. Yeah. But I like the idea of starting a bike to school day once we have some safe routes in place.
Is the outfit looking for a videographer they can pay or a volunteer?
Well, the DCR is looking for a videographer to work on their projects because they lost their videographer and they don't have one right now.
So I know one. Send me information and I'll pass it on to him.
All right. Yeah. So as I say, I don't know if David is willing to do this work for free, or if we're just talking about like maybe just a little fold out brochure that he would put together so that we could present our information. We need our survey data. We want the concept of what we're trying to do, what's important about it. It's not necessarily going to be on a video, but we definitely need to have this kind of thing. John has not, it is constantly, he's constantly reminding me that this is important. So if he's telling me it's important, it's because it's important and it will make the difference. So I'm meeting with Bike Slow County, Catalina and Mallory on Monday. They're going to be participating in the outreach program that we're having in May. So May 1st, Locac is doing an outreach. We're renting the Red Barn. We're going to be having the Active Transportation Committee will be there. We're going to have all the committees of Locac. We're going to have other organizations represented. The CSD is going to be there. The South Bay Women's Network is going to be there. And so it's an opportunity for us to reach the community and get support for our projects.
Yeah, we will have about 15 different groups there that day.
That's a Sunday from 2 to 5.
which day was that again?
May 1st.
May 1st.
So any questions, any comments, anything you want to add to the agenda?
Is there anything you need from us for that May 1st event?
Sure, I'd love to have volunteers at the table to talk about, I mean, we need to figure out what exactly we're going to have there. We may want to have something printed up if we actually can get something designed, that we would have something printed up. John talked to David about maybe having an actual conceptual map on a poster board. So imagine the core loop. I know, Tom, you don't know about the core loop, but the core loop is something that one of our committee members designed before he went on vacation. And so it could be something like that. It could be something that's on a table. It could be
A survey.
it could
I was just going to
include-
say that. Could we do a survey?
You could definitely, because we're going to be, Locac's going to be asking all of the committees to do a survey of, as far as it pertains to your committee, what are the needs of Los Osos for active, transportation or trees and landscape, or, whatever the committee is. We're really asking for each of the committees to do a survey. It's something that we'll bring up next Thursday, but yeah, we would like each committee to do a short survey to see, 3 to 5 questions, see what they feel the needs are for active transportation.
So maybe Meg and I could, not to volunteer Meg, but since you have sort of the broad base of a survey, maybe you and I could work on a survey to present to this committee for review and possible acceptance for the next meeting in April to be ready for the event in May.
Absolutely. I'd be glad to do that with you.
Okay.
Okay, great. Anything else?
So to that, just to that note, so if anybody has any questions that they think Meg and I should be asking on that survey, don't hesitate to email us or Deborah, and we'll see what we can do.
All right, everybody. If there's not anything else, then I think we can adjourn the meeting.
Great meeting.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel excited about the momentum we're getting. We're getting up steam here. Again, thank you all for your participation. Before we go, let's set a date for our next meeting. How about that?
Good idea.
Do you have a suggested date, Deborah?
Hold on, let me get, I want to look at my April before I say anything.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone from the 11th to the 14th.
Okay,
What about the 21st?
I'll be gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also out of town that week of the 11th through the 16th.
How about
through
the
the
19th?
15th.
How about a Tuesday the 19th?
Works for me.
Good for me.
Tuesday, the 19th?
The 19th works for me.
Okay. So far, so good. Jim and Tom?
Works for
Right.
me.
Okay.
Doesn't work for me.
No?
No, no. Well, I can be in two meetings at once, probably.
What time would you be holding it? Because we started to do 5 o'clock and then we went back to 6 o'clock. Didn't we? Or am I thinking of another meeting?
Another meeting. 6 o'clock. It's always been
6 o'clock. Okay. All right.
Tom, if we do later, does that help you?
Think so, but don't change everyone's schedule just for my account.
Okay, well, we'll keep you up to date then. Let's say Tuesday, the 19th at 6 o'clock. And hopefully nobody will schedule a meeting on top of our meeting so that we keep getting flip-flopped out. That was insane.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen in the future.
But thanks everybody for keep coming back in. All right, thank you so much. You have my email. Let's keep the ball rolling.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.